Hey guys, it's me, Amaterasu, and wow, 700 subscribers. I am deadass so shocked on how fucking fast we're growing. Thanks guys, I really appreciate it. But anyways, this is part 3-2, Shinachiku's first adventure, aka, what if Naruto and Sakura had a child? I hope all of you guys enjoy this video, but without further ado, roll the intro.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Boys, my wheels got in my bag and I got all my feels. I'm getting this paper, I'm stacking a meal. I'm with your hoe in the house on the hills. Yeah. I'ma keep it real, at the sacrifice to try to get my bands up. Shorty wanna fuck with me, she see me on the camera. She said she in love with me, but really I can't stand her. She just want part of this life cause she see me on the ground.
Chapter 8, An Unpredictable Battle. Now then. The masked man got his katanas up from off the ground and had them at the ready. Are we ready to begin? Shinachiku and Sasuke both had their own katanas at the ready, preparing themselves for whatever this opponent might do, so you can imagine their surprise when he decided to take off into the village laughing the whole way. Ha ha, come and get me. Randamu mocked the two-leaf nin as he ran away. Shinachiku was beyond annoyed. First this guy shows up out of nowhere, then he makes the weirdest jokes I've ever heard, then he makes dirty comments about my mom, then he asks if he can date my sister, and now he challenges me to a fight and then runs away? Hell no. The boy took off out of their room without a word, before Sasuke could say anything more to him, but as it turns our Sasuke was merely following behind the boy, not saying anything, only observing. Shinachiku, despite his age and inexperience, was doing a fairly good job of keeping up with the masked man, tracking him all through the village until he retreated into the forest outside the village's borders. Wait Shinachiku, Sasuke demanded, stop and use your head for a minute kid. This person is obviously baiting you into a trap. He wants to lure you into a place where he'd have the advantage. Don't fall for it. Geez, I would have thought you dad and sensei would have taught you better than that. The boy paused before he passed the borders of the forest. Uncle Sasuke's right, I've been taught better than this. If I just run in there blinded by rage, I'll be a sitting duck. I need to clear my head and focus. With a long, deep breath, he gathered his wits and entered the forest, Sasuke following behind. The forest was totally unassuming. Sunlight streaking in through the treetops, chirping of birds and chipmunks in the background, nothing out of the ordinary whatsoever. In other words, the perfect cover for an expert ninja in hiding. Shinachiku was nervous as he held his katana in his hand, and kept his scroll full of other weapons at his side. His eyes darted all over the place, scanning from tree to tree in desperate hope of finding his enemy. He looked left, right, up, down, and every direction in between, but there was no sign of the red and black lunatic. Wait, Shinachiku realized, I'll bet he's using a genjutsu to camouflage himself. He got his hands into the proper sign to release the illusion. Release. Nothing happened. Okay, the boy thought to himself, this is getting creepy. It was funny. The boy had spent his whole life training and studying to be ready for exactly this sort of encounter, but now that he was here, much of that training instantly gave way to fear. Come on, get a grip Shinachiku. You did not train with mom and dad and Konohamaru sensei, you did not work to graduate top of your class with honors from Shino sensei just to choke up now. You look scarred. And quat. A voice came from up in the trees, frightening the poor boy. He snapped his head in the direction where the voice came from. Oh, sorry kid, I didn't mean to interrupt your inner monologue. The voice now came from a totally different direction up in the trees. Shinachiku quickly turned to locate the source of the noise, weapon at the ready. You can go ahead and relax kid, I'm not going to hurt you. And quat. The voice was not jumping all over the sky, every word seemingly from a totally different direction, until finally, much. The voice came from right behind the boy. He instantly turned around to the face his foe only to get a massive uppercut that sent him up into the trees. Sure you can. Randamu appeared where the boy landed almost instantly. His speed was truly impressive, only a few steps beneath Naruto's flying thunder god technique. Hey, nothing personal about any of this, okay kid? I just, have to take you in alive to my employers to get my money. But seriously, I can still get the autograph of your dad's book, right? Oh, better yet, you got any naked photos of your mom ag? The blonde-haired boy lashed at the perverted enemy with an out-of-control fury. He hacked and slashed at Randamu furiously, but the masked man was easily able to either dodge all of his attacks or parry them with his own katanas. Wow kid, you've got some skill with a blade, but you should know that people do say that the larger a guy's sword, the more they're trying to compensate for something. Shinachiku blushed in humiliation as he charged at Randamu again with no more success. Of course, I carry 2 katanas with me and I sure don't have that problem. And if you really do take after your dad, the QB enhanced sex machine, then I'm sure that you're not going to have any problems with girls either. Dear God, now you're making jokes about my dad's junk? Are you that much of a pervert? No more than the guy writing this fanfic. Like him, I'm just saying what I think would get a good laugh. Shinachiku stopped and looked at him blankly before he just shook his head clear of awkward thoughts and focused on the task at hand. Look, I don't know what your game is, but oh, games. Randamu suddenly squealed in excitement. Oh, I love games. Hey, have you ever played Ultimate Ninja Storm 4? Oh heck yeah, I got it for Christmas one year. It was also wait, who cares about video games right now? Sorry kid, tell you what, just so there are no hard feelings, how about I let you make the next move? Shinachiku was confused, really? Yeah sure, why not? Okay. The boy decided to shake things up a bit and got out his weapon scroll. He resealed his katana inside and released his bow staff. Oh, so you're both a Leonardo and a Donatello fan, eh? As you can tell from my swords, I've always favored Leo more than anyone else, although I think most people who meet me would peg me more as a Michelangelo. Oh well, that's just them labeling. Randamu couldn't finish his sentence as the boy whacked him right in the face with his bow. This got the masked man suddenly mad. I will not be labeled. The 2 ninja dueled swords to bow, each doing fairly well, but the masked man clearly had the advantage. The fight continued until both of them found themselves back on the forest floor. Shinachiku got out some more weapons from his scroll, a pair of nunchucks. Oh, now you're just copying me. I bring up Michelangelo just one time and you go ahead and you know what? Screw it. Randamu then did something totally unexpected. He pulled out a brand new weapon all his own, a giant bow armed with arrows that Shinachiku barely had time to dodge. What the where were you keeping that? The same place I keep all of my special gear kid, in my trusty magic satchel. Quat. He patted the side of his body as if he were gesturing to an invisible bag at his side. What are you talking about? There's nothing there. It's part of my 4th wall hammer space thing I told you about earlier. I can literally pull weapons and anything else I want to pretty much nowhere. That's ridiculous. No, writing a fanfic of this sort of ambition just because you got all bitchy about the pairings the original writer chose to go with to end your favorite story, that's ridiculous. And quat. Randamu suddenly turned to the side, almost as if he were looking straight into a camera. Oh, sorry, too soon? Shinachiku kept dodging as Randamu shot more and more arrows at him. Finding his nunchucks to be of little use, he threw them down as the enemy decided to go for his swords again. That's when the boy got an idea. He pulled out his scroll one more time and unsealed his twin sai. Yeah, I should have known, said Randamu. First Leonardo, then Donatello, then Michelangelo. Of course you're a Raphael fan too. Pick one turtle and stick with him, you two-timer. Shinachiku charged at the man in red and black just as he tried to stab him with katanas. He got the blades caught in the forked ends of the sai and trapped them in place. Second later, snap. The blades snapped apart, giving Shinachiku the opening he needed. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 3 clones of the blonde-haired boy appeared as the real Shinachiku delivered a powerful kick to the masked man. 2 of the clones held him down while the others started making hand gestures over the real Shinachiku's outstretched hand. Chakra was forming around the boy's hand and was gradually taking shape. It was time to finally put all of his hard work and training into this one technique to real use. Alright son, Naruto addressed his son before him as they both stood in the dojo of their family's house. You're a Jinan now and Konohamaru and I have been talking. We think it's time that you learn the signature ninjutsu of our family. Huh? What do you mean dad? You've read my book, right? The boy nodded his head. Then you know about the technique Pervy Sage taught me long ago when we went to go find Ba-chan, right? Shinachiku's eyes widened in hope as he realized what this could mean. Dad, do you mean? Yes Shinachiku, it's time for you to learn how to perform the Rasengan. Yay! Shinachiku could not hold in his excitement. Finally, he was going to learn his dad's most famous fighting technique. Settle down. Naruto called out with polite authority. Now then, your old man is going to be giving you private training here at home, while your sensei is going to be giving you the same training during the day. That way you can get twice as much practice and hopefully learn it a lot faster than either of us did, okay? Shinachiku nodded his head and he listened closely. Now, are you sure you're ready for this? Yes. Are you prepared to learn this technique the same way your old man did? Yes. And are you willing to stick with it no matter how hard it gets? Yes. Naruto paused. Fine, here catch. The man threw a water balloon at his son, who caught it in his hands. What is this for? Didn't you say you read my book? You remember my account of how Jiraiya taught me this technique, right? Shinachiku thought about it for a moment, and then he got a big frown on his face. Aw man, you mean I've got to go through all of that? Yes son, you do, if you want to learn how to do it right. Naruto took a deep breath before beginning again. Now, the first step is pretty simple. What you need to do is cause the water inside the balloon to make the whole balloon burst. Look. Naruto held a water balloon in his hand as it got bumpy and wild until the whole thing exploded, slashing water everywhere. Whoa! The young boy said in awe. Now you try. What? But Dad, aren't you going to tell me how you did that? I wish I could son, but I can't. I told you I was going to teach you the same way Jiraiya taught me and how I taught Konohamaru, and that means that you're going to have to do most of this by yourself. I can give you tips and hints here and there, but the best way to learn this is through your own trial and error. Well, I already know from your book how you did it, Dad. A vein appeared on Naruto's head. Yeah, but there is a difference between reading how to do something and actually doing it in real life. Even if you already know the trick, you still need to put it into practice. Shinachiku looked down at the water balloon in his hand and braced himself as he swirled the water around inside the balloon with his chakra. This was more of a test to get the feel of it first. Naruto watched closely. Think back to what you saw me do earlier son, let that be a clue. Shinachiku stopped for only a moment and then started manipulating the water in multiple directions at once, or at least he tried, but it wasn't doing it like he planned. See? It takes practice. Tell you what, it's already getting late, so why don't we settle in for the night and you and Konohamaru can pick it up tomorrow? Actually Dad, Shinachiku answered, I'm going to stay and practice for a little while longer, if that's okay? Naruto smiled at his son. Okay son, just don't stay up too long. 2 days later, Naruto and Shinachiku were back in the dojo again ready to begin the second phase of his Rasengan training. The boy had picked up the first step fairly quickly. After rereading his dad's book he figured out the cheat his dad had used to do it, and then he just needed to practice the rapid hand movements to get it right himself. Much like Naruto had done with Jiraiya when he was just a boy, Shinachiku revealed his mastery of the first step to Naruto by sneaking into his parents' room and popped the water balloon right over his father's face. Despite them being married, even Sakura had to admit that seeing Naruto get splashed with water by their son was pretty funny. Alright kiddo, Naruto addressed his son, time for the second step. Here. He tossed a rubber ball to his son who caught it. Now, Naruto continued, for this step, you are going to do the same thing you did to the balloon, like so. And quat. The blonde-haired man held up the rubber ball in his hand and it rumbled for a moment before it exploded in the man's palm. Even if he knew what was coming, the boy was still impressed with what he just saw. And believe me when I tell you, Naruto continued, that this is going to be a lot harder to break than the water balloon. Shinachiku had read about this before, but even as he tried it out for the first time, pumping in more of his chakra than normal, the ball still wouldn't break. Wow, this is hard. Good luck son, you'll need it. 2 days later, Shinachiku did have to really push his chakra beyond his normal limits to make the rubber ball pop, but when he did it was a huge source of pride for him. And now he was in the dojo once again with his father to learn the third and final step. Shinachiku, Naruto said, you've come a long way in a short time. The first step you learned was about rotation, the second was about power. The third and final step you need to learn is about compression. Watch. He held a simple balloon full of air in his hand. Nothing happened. Dad, nothing's happening. Are you sure? Naruto asked with a smirk. Well, let's take a look at my other hand then. In Naruto's other hand a swirl of chakra appeared and quickly compressed itself into an orb the size of a baseball. Once again, the intelligent yet impressionable young boy looked in awe. So then, he started, what you're doing in your left hand is happening inside the balloon on your right. That's right. Naruto proclaimed. You need to rotate your chakra and maintain all of your power, but keep it all maintained into a ball, like a miniature typhoon in the palm of your hand. And when you do ... and quat. He slammed the Rasengan into a training dummy and totally obliterated it. So, son, shall we begin? This was it. The time had come to put all of that hard work to use in battle for the first time. His father had given him the added dare to figure the third step out without reading about it in the book. It took him much longer than usual this way, but eventually he came up with the exact same workaround that Naruto did as a boy, purely by coincidence. His father had told him to still keep training to one day do it without the need of clones, just like he himself did, but this way would have the do for now. The one shadow clone worked to rotate Shinachiku's chakra as he poured more and more and more of it into the technique. This gave the boy the focus he needed to keep all of that power contained, Until finally a swirling blue orb of pure chakra formed in his hand. Yes. Got it. While his other two shadow clones held the masked man down, he slammed the blue orb straight into his abdomen. Rasengan. Randamu was sent flying several kilometers across the sprawling forest. His momentum sent him through countless trees and other foliage, breaking most of his bones and leaving a very, very nasty scar on his chest. Shinachiku did not do anything for several minutes as he stared at the empty hole in the forest that was made by the flying enemy. Then he heard a clapping from behind him. He turned to find his godfather clapping in an almost sarcastic manner with a mere smirk on his face. "Not bad, kid. Looks like you really knocked him out," Sasuke said. "Uncle Sasuke, why didn't you come and help me? I wanted to see what you could do, and you didn't disappoint." "Well, I guess you could make do with a bit more training, but to have mastered the Rasengan at your age, maybe even younger than your father, that's impressive." Shinachiku didn't feel wholly satisfied with that answer, feeling as if Sasuke was hiding something from him, but he figured he should pay it no mind for right now and just be grateful that he was still alive. He looked back towards the direction Randamu was sent flying through. He'll be back, won't he? Possibly, but even with that crazy healing factor of his he still won't be likely to come back tonight, especially with how far away he flew. I'd say we can head back to the inn and get a good night's rest before we head back out tomorrow for the hidden whirlpool village. Shinachiku nodded his head in understanding as he started walking back the way he came towards the village and the inn. "Hey Uncle Sasuke, aren't you coming?" "Yeah, but first I need to check up on one more thing. You go on ahead and I'll catch up." Shinachiku began heading back until he was out of Sasuke's sight, but there was one thing that Sasuke wasn't aware of. One of the shadow clones that Shinachiku had made to hold down Randamu had not yet dispersed, and so the clone remained out of Sasuke's range and kept its chakra signature low to remain undetected. He watched from up in the trees as Sasuke began fiddling with something on his neck that he had hidden underneath his collar, a microphone. "Test, channel 3. And quad." Sasuke spoke into the mic trying to get a secure signal. "Randamu, this is Uchiha, do you copy?" There was no response for a moment, only static. Then, however, that familiar loudmouth came through the speaker. "Ow, damn it, that Rasengan really friggin' hurts. Stupid Kamehameha wannabe. Or wait, isn't the Kamehama a rip-off of the Hadoken? Or did the Hadoken come after the Kamehameha? I can never keep those two straight. Enough, are you injured? Are you kidding? Both of my legs are broken, one of my arms is broken, and I've got a spiral-shaped scar on my chest that looks like something from a Tim Burton movie." "A what?" "Forget it, fourth wall thing again, long story." "You're insane, you know that right?" "No, I just act insane to keep myself from going insane, but thanks for the compliment." "How long until you're healed?" "Within the hour, maximum." "Should I head back to where you two are staying?" "No, I told the kid to get some sleep tonight and then we'll head out again tomorrow." "So how'd he do?" "Better than I'd hoped, plenty of courage in him and to have learned the Rasengan already. I think at this rate he'll be ready when the attack comes." "You mean back at the Hidden Leaf Village? It'll be happening soon?" Sasuke sighed. "Yes, very soon." Up in the trees the clone had been listening in, then, frowning, dispelled itself and allowed all its memories to travel to the real Shinachiku, still on his way back to the inn. The young boy was overcome with shock, confusion, and fear, not just for himself, but for his family and his entire village. "Mom, Dad, Hanami, what do I do now?" And Apos. Chapter 9. The Enemy Within. Naruto sat at his desk staring at the scroll that lay on his desk. He had tried every unsealing jutsu that he knew and even sent some of his shadow clones to the village library for extra research, but so far nothing has been working. "I don't get it. I can defeat Pain and Kaguya but not unseal a damn scroll?" He crossed his arms and huffed as if he was still the same stubborn child that he was in his youth. He had to find an answer to how that assassin was able to nullify all of their jutsus that day, and this scroll was the only clue he had. And he needed to find the solution alone. Heaven forbid he take it up to the council, especially after what happened yesterday. The 7th Hokage was called into a meeting with the village elders, those who made up the Konoha Council. Homura Midokado and Koharu Udatane, both members of the council during the second reign of Hiruzen Sarutobi and the reigns of Tsunade and Kakashi Hatake, were still, somehow, alive and well and advising Naruto during his own reign. Their third collaborator, Danzo Shimura, was killed years ago by Sasuke Uchiha for actions against the Leaf Village to grab power for himself and for attacking the former traitor Sasuke Uchiha. Since then a replacement had been chosen to fill in for Danzo. His name was Aragi Ramono, an older, black-haired shinobi that left the village in search of enlightenment for several years before returning after the Fourth Shinobi World War. He gradually rose to a position of power in the village's government, and while he and Naruto had never been especially close, he had earned Naruto's trust and showed him more respect than either of the other elders did. Naruto entered a meeting room and sat in a chair placed in front of a couch where the two ancient shinobi sat waiting for him. "Ah, Lord Hokage," Aragi addressed, "have a seat." Naruto did as he was told. He really didn't like having to deal with these old geezers very often, especially since they used to work with Danzo, but they've been through far more than he has, and they both were friends of the third, a man who always had his back and whom he greatly respected. "So," Naruto started, "what is this all about?" "Naruto," Koharu began, "we wanted to discuss some of your recent behavior over the past few days." "Excuse me?" "For starters," Homura said, "your decision to send your only son, Amir Janan, on a potential A-rank mission. I thought we already agreed that this mission was approved?" "Yes, we did, and we did agree that Shinachiku was advanced enough that he could handle such responsibility," Aragi answered. "But when you first told us of this mission, you neglected to inform us that your son would be traveling to the remains of the hidden whirlpool village without his Jonin instructor or any of his teachers. Instead, you conveniently sidestepped the truth that Sasuke Uchiha would be taking the boy alone. We're all just concerned is all." Naruto did not say anything at first, merely scowled. He knew that lying to the elders would be a problem if they ever discovered the truth, but what choice did he have? "Elder Aragi," he began, "I'm sorry I withheld this information from you, but Sasuke informed me that the best way to keep this situation as anonymous as possible to keep our whereabouts away for this mysterious new enemy's notice. Taking a full ninja squad would risk attracting too much attention. My bloodline is the only one that can open the seal that safeguards the chakra gem, and since my Hokage duties did not allow me time to take on such a mission myself, and my daughter is still a mere academy student, that left my son as the best candidate." "And yet," Koharu interrupted, "the Uchiha is himself married to another surviving member of the Uzumaki clan, is he not?" "Well, yes, but they've been split up for about a year now." Homura stared at him blankly. How convenient. What's that supposed to mean? "Naruto, your grades have always been some of the worst of your graduating class. You have always been one of the most impatient and reckless shinobi in this village, but at your age and in your cage position I still would have assumed that you were smart enough to recognize that something here is seriously out of place." Naruto was getting very annoyed. "Please, do enlighten me as to your meaning. And come to think of it, how did either of you even find out about this in the first place?" Koharu interjected at this point. "I suggest that you have a discussion with your advisor about that. He can answer all of your concerns." Naruto frowned hard. "Damn it. Thanks for going behind my back, Shikamaru. Right now, we have other issues we need to discuss with you," Koharu continued. Naruto raised his head in confusion. "Like what?" "The existence of these chakra gems is troubling to us," Homura said. "There is no documented account of their existence going back as far as the days of Kaguya and the Sage of Six Paths. But if what the Uchiha has told you is indeed true, then their recovery is of paramount importance." "Okay, so what's the problem?" "Your son and the Uchiha, his name is Sasuke," Naruto stated firmly. "Your son and Sasuke Uchiha only know the alleged location of one of these gems. It is pivotal that the Hidden Leaf Village finds and collects all of them as soon as possible before any of our enemies do." "That's exactly what I'm trying to do. The mysterious enemy force that Sasuke told me and my wife about is looking for the gems too, and we're not just talking about this new enemy, but our old ones too," Koharu interrupted. Naruto suddenly got upset. "What are you talking about? Any one of these gems is supposedly able to give its user a tailed beast level power. Put all 7 of them together and that person, or persons, would have the powers of a god. Can you imagine that kind of power in the hands of Kumagakur, or Iwagakur, or Kiragakur, or Sunagakur? They could wipe us out at any time they wished." Naruto now felt disgusted. "Lady Koharu, I have worked long and hard to bring this world into an era of peace. We all have. The other shinobi villages are our allies and the other kages our friends, my friends. And yet," Homura said, "let us not forget that the current Kazekage has had his history of violent, antisocial behavior and took part in Orochimaru's plot to wipe out the Leaf Village. As a Jinchuriki he was a psychopath back then and even now is still not the most wholly charming and social of leaders. As a Jinchuriki yourself, Naruto, you more than anyone know what people like him are capable of, yet alone with a chakra gem in their possession. Things are entirely different from back then. And quote. Naruto suddenly stood up. "And how dare you talk about Gaara or any of my friends like that?" The elders just sat there expressionless at the Hokage's outburst. Naruto took a deep breath before he continued. "Is there anything else?" "Yes there is," Koharu said. "We also wanted to speak to you about the recent retrieval mission one of your Anbu captains returned from today that you also saw fit to not inform us of, one of several if we're not mistaken." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Naruto," Aragi said after a long period of silence, "we have reason to believe that ever since the assassination attempt at your wedding you have been periodically sending top-secret Anbu missions without our consent. Now, As I recall, after the assassin committed suicide before he could answer any of your questions, you came to us requesting an investigation. One, we refused to avoid depleting the village's resources. And now we have suspicions that Captain Odaku has delivered confidential information to you. Naruto was careful not to show any emotion on his face. Shit, what do I say now? After only a second, during which he fiddled with the still sealed scroll he kept within his pocket, he responded, Captain Odaku did not hand me any information that I have read or studied without informing you first. Aragi noted the careful choice of words that Naruto had chosen. I see. Well then, I suppose this meeting is adjourned then. What? But we still have the issue of his approving the cut in our defense funding in favor of schools and hospitals. Oh great, Naruto thought to himself, not another budgetary argument. I think that we can discuss that at another time. Homura. Dismissed. Homura and Koharu stood up and bowed to the Orange Hokage as they left the room. Aragi stayed for a moment and looked at Naruto. You're welcome. Naruto scratched the back of his head for a moment. Yeah, thanks for getting me out of another budget dispute. You really are the closest thing to a friend I've got on the council. My pleasure, kid, Aragi said. I knew Master Jiraiya and your father, and when I left the village to find some new direction in my life, I always held them as good examples of what a true shinobi should be. And looking at you, I can see that their spirit lives on inside of you. Gee, thanks. But listen, those were some tough questions being thrown at me, including from you. We just want some answers, that is all, as do you, right? Huh? Naruto, you don't need to spell out all the details to me about what you've been doing with those secret Anbu missions of yours, but I am going to ask you about something else one more time. What was the real reason you tell us that your son would be traveling alone with Sasuke Uchiha? Naruto paused for a moment as he considered what to say, but then he answered, because I wasn't sure who to trust. And quat. Aragi looked to be in contemplation for only a moment. You're a splendid ninja, Naruto, but just remember that as a member of this council I, like you, made a vow to always look out for what I felt was best for the future of this village and the ninja world, and anyone who stands in the way of that will regret it. And quat. He looked at the young man with dead seriousness. Anyone? I understand. Thank you, Aragi. There was a knock on the Hokage's door. Naruto quickly put the scroll back in his pocket so no one else would see it. Come in. A middle-aged, yet still attractive woman with short black hair and a black gi over fishnets came in. She had been the apprentice to Lady Tsunade before Naruto's own wife, and had served as her personal assistant while she was still Hokage. After Tsunade retired, she chose to stay on as Kakashi's assistant, and now here she was serving Naruto as well. Suffice to say, this woman and Naruto were pretty close friends, the woman seeing him almost like a little brother. Excuse me, Lord Hokage, but I have a quick form that needs your approval. She handed the form to the blonde, who read it quickly before applying his signature. Thank you, Shizune. She noticed a weary look on her leader's face. Is something wrong, Naruto? Huh? Oh no, I've just got a lot on my mind right now. Shinachiku going to be fine, you know. Yeah, I know. Listen, Shizune, could you do me a favor and find Shikamaru for me? Tell him that I need to see him in my office. Hi. The woman left the room and shut the door behind her. Not more than 10 minutes later, the lazy genius in the open white shirt, black undershirt and goatee came in. What did you want, Naruto? This is so troublesome. I had a meeting with the council yesterday, and to my surprise they knew some things that I was trying to keep from them. When I asked them how they knew, they said you were the one I should speak to. Shikamaru merely groaned. Yep, this is troublesome. Shikamaru, why did you go to the elders about my son's mission without telling me? Because I knew you wouldn't do it yourself and they needed to know, just in case. In case of what? In case this mission is more than it appears to be. Okay, you know what, why don't you just lay your cards on the table and tell me what's bothering you about all of this? Shikamaru looked almost incredulous. What's bothering me? Okay, sure. How about Sasuke's behavior during the assassination attempt at your wedding? I think he heard the guy say something that day that he never told us. Or how about that suicide pill that the assassin had hidden in his mouth? Why do you suppose the Anbu never checked to see if he had brought anything to like that into a prison? Or now, how about this crazy chakra gem nonsense that we've never heard of before and we only do now because Sasuke shows up out of the blue, going directly to your house to ask if he can take your son on this crazy adventure against an enemy Sasuke claims he doesn't even know the identity of. He explained to me that he needed Shinachiku because only Uzumaki blood can release the seal guarding the gem. And yet he just so happens to be married to another from your mother's clan, whom he just so happened to have separated from since last we saw him, and their daughter is supposedly with Karen now, wherever she is. Sounds awfully convenient, don't you think? Whoa, hang on. Are you telling me that you think that my best friend did something to hurt his own wife and daughter and now he's going to do something else to my son? No, at least, God, I hope not. But use your brain here, Naruto. Something about all of this just doesn't add up. Even a doofus like you can figure that out. Naruto stood up from his desk in anger. You think I don't see that? Of course something is off about this. But if these chakra gems and this enemy are real, then we need to find them before they do. And besides, I trust Sasuke. He's the only brother I've got, and I know he'd never do anything to Shinachiku. Sasuke's past is behind him, and it's time everybody else in the world realizes that. Moving speech? Really? But do you really believe it? Naruto put his head down for about 3 seconds before he looked back up at his advisor. Thank you for your time, Shikamaru. You are dismissed. Shikamaru turned around to leave, but stopped himself in the doorway. He looked like he was going to apologize, but then he just sighed again and left. Naruto stared at the open door as he felt the scroll he kept hidden in his pocket. He didn't want to admit it, but some of the things Shikamaru said really were getting his gears turning. Was Sasuke hiding something that the assassin told him? Why didn't anyone double-check the assassin once he was their prisoner? Where did Sasuke hear about these chakra gems exactly? Was it just a coincidence that he and Karen broke up just when Sasuke needed someone with Uzumaki blood? He felt the scroll inside of his pocket. Was there some sort of connection between it and the gems? And what about that warning Aragi gave him before he left that meeting? What was that all about? There were so many questions that were demanding answers. And Naruto only knew one thing for certain. God, I need a drink. At Konoha Hospital, Sakura was sitting at her desk staring at something that lay before her. It was a thin vial that contained a strange clear blue substance. She had taken it to the labs and looked through all of her books, but she could find nothing to tell her what it was. But she knew what it did, that's for sure. They all saw the effects of this stuff, whatever it was, the day she and her husband tried to forget. Staring at the vial, memories of that patient she saved yesterday came flooding back to her. The pink-haired medic stormed into the ER where a team of doctors, nurses and surgeons were already working to keep the patient stable. As soon as they saw her, there was a relaxed seriousness that overcame everyone in the room. Where is the patient? Over here, one of the doctors said. Sakura walked over to the patient lying on the table. He was a 20-something shinobi, younger than her and her husband, and he was struggling to breath. Have we rendered anesthesia yet? Yes, milady, but he's barely responding, Suda said. Is it a coronary bypass he needs? Doesn't look like it, one of the doctors said. We haven't seen any clogs in the veins or arteries and he's still ready to go into cardiac arrest. Damn. Sakura quickly put on some rubber gloves. Alright, we're just going to have to wing this one then. She let her hands glow with her chakra as she felt out the source of her patient's condition. It was difficult to find, even for a medic as gifted as her. But then again, most medical ninja did not have her well above average chakra control. Sakura eventually felt the source of the blockage, realizing that the reason that it was hard to find was because it was faintly spread throughout the patient's bloodstream, not concentrated in one spot. There was only one thing she could think of for a situation like this, the delicate illness extraction technique. I'm going to need several buckets of medicinal fluid and water over here, stat. As the nurses went and got what she needed, Sakura focused her chakra into a scalpel. She tried to make the incision, but something was blocking her. What the hell? Milady? Asked one of the doctors. My chakra scalpel's not cutting. This can't be. I haven't seen anything like that since. Sakura stopped in horror. This was exactly like the assassin that attacked them at their wedding 12 years ago. Any kind of chakra or jutsu attack was either diluted or repelled, as if it were some sort of chakra barrier. Naruto had tried to get an investigation going on it with no success. And now, all these years later, this dying patient has the same thing. She had no time to dwell on the past though. Someone's life was on the line. Right, we're just going to have to do this the hard way. Sakura called for a scalpel, a real scalpel, and made a very careful incision into an affected blood vessel. She then wasn't sure where to go from here. On instinct she fell back on her old medical training and tried using her chakra to push trace amount of the medicinal fluid through the patient's bloodstream, figuring it wouldn't work. It did. No way. You mean that our chakra is worthless outside this man's body, but it works fine on the inside? That makes no sense. But, again, she had no time to dwell on that as the fluid gradually drew out the cause of the patient's condition and the apparent answer to her questions, a clear blue fluid of unknown origin found within his blood. The medicinal fluid served as a medium through which the unknown substance was suspended in the air and forced out of the man's body. Sakura had gotten a large portion of the fluid out and called out to one of her nurses. Suda, get me 2 vials, quick. The young woman did as commanded and Sakura filled the vials with a portion of the mysterious substance, separated out of the medicinal fluid to keep it pure and refined for further study. She then dumped the rest of the substance into one of the buckets of water. Another. Sakura knew that she had a long way to go before the entire mystery agent was out of this man's system. And so the operation continued for several more hours, until, finally, the man's entire blood system had been cleared out. Sakura took a deep breath, relieved that it was finally over. Alright, Suda, go ahead and heal him. As her nurse used the mystical palm technique to heal the scalpel wounds, Sakura ordered one of the doctors to take one of the sample vials down to the lab to study for an antidote. She didn't notice some of the doctors exchanging knowing glances at one another as they took the sample. The second vial was still with her, and she stared at it with a mix of fascination and concern. What do you suppose it is, Lady Sakura? I don't know, Tsuda, but we need to find out soon. I'm going to hang on to this sample to do my own research, just in case. Tsuda had a curious look on her face, almost as if she wasn't too keen on that answer. Sakura didn't notice, however, she was far too focused on the mystery fluid that lay within the vial in her hand. Sakura was going to perform some experiments within her office to study the sample she got from the procedure yesterday, but she had been too swamped with work up until now. The doctors have also yet to get back to her with an update on the test results from the first sample. The patient himself had, to her knowledge, not yet regained consciousness from the operation, or so she assumed. No one gave her an update on that either. She checked the time, it was nearly 12 p.m. I guess I'll go meet Naruto for lunch. I hope he remembers that we're eating at that sandwich shop down the street today. With that, she pocketed the vial in her signature red dress, now with the red spiral of the Uzumaki clan encased within the white circle of the Haruno clan, and zipped up the pocket for safekeeping. After hanging up her white medic coat and clocking out to lunch, she started walking towards the exit. I wonder what Naruto is up to right now? Naruto was walking down the corridors out of the academy, ready to enjoy his lunch break with his beloved wife. No, it wasn't going to be Ichiraku's this time, which sucked, but as long as he got to spend time with her, he didn't mind too bad. Before then, however, he needed to make a stop at the bathroom to take a quick leak. As the Hokage, relieved himself, he noticed the door open and a bunch of Leaf Ninja and a few Anbu walked in. Taking the stall next to him was Odaku. Afternoon, Lord Hokage, he said as he took a piss. Evidence response found some fibers on the roof they want us to see. You want me to get attack team ready? No, let's wait and see what it is first, probably nothing serious. Hi. As the two men continued their business, Naruto saw even more shinobi and Anbu enter the room. Some of them were starting to look rather large and armed for combat. Naruto was finished by now, and so he zipped up his fly and went to the sink to wash his hands. Odaku finished and took the sink next to him. The guys behind them took their place at the urinals. Naruto saw that they were just standing there, not even zipping their flies down. At least one guy had what looked like a line of sweat running down his face, as if he were terrified about something he was about to do. By the way, Naruto, Odaku said, I forgot to mention, good luck with your son, I hope he comes home safe. Naruto got a very uncomfortable vibe off of how he said that. Thanks. Then even more shinobi came in. The bathroom was way too overcrowded now, even for lunch hour. Many of them were not even lined up for the toilets, they were crowding around him at the sink. Naruto, having grown up as the rejected monster constantly berated, ridiculed, and sometimes even assaulted by the people of his own village, knew an ambush when he saw one. Still, he was the Hokage now, so he might as well be fair. Before we get started, does anyone want to get out? There was only a brief moment of hesitation before the first guy, Odaku, pulled out a kunai and aimed right at Naruto's throat. But Naruto was ready for it and grabbed the kunai and threw Odaku's arm aside before punching him in the gut. Another guy attacked, but Naruto took him out just as easily, and another. But then they gained up on him all at once. Some of the ninja made a move for the pockets of his orange jumpsuit. They want the scroll. Naruto wouldn't let that happen. He used all of his strength to push these big, heavy guys off of him. He noticed one of them had a syringe in his hand, one that contained a strange clear red fluid within. Be damned if he was going to let them pump him with any of that. The guy was grabbed by the legs and thrown up against the ceiling, coming down with a hard thud. More guys made their move, with kunai and even swords. Naruto readied two swirling balls of chakra in his hands, no longer needing the aid of a shadow clone to do so. Twin Rasengan. The two ninja it hit were knocked out, as were the ninja standing poised to fight behind them that happened to be in the way. That was pretty much all of Naruto's attackers, save for one who was just now standing back up. Whoa. Odaku put his hand up as a stop gesture while holding a nasty-looking kunai in his other hand. My lord, I just want you to know, this ain't personal. Odaku jabbed the kunai into Naruto's shoulder. He struggled through the pain to pull away the hand of his treacherous Anbu captain until Odaku jabbed the same kunai into his leg. Naruto, grunting in pain, grabbed hold of Odaku and slammed him head first into a porcelain toilet, knocking him out. Yeah? Well, it kind of feels personal. Biting his teeth, Naruto yanked the kunai out of his leg. Kurama was already working to heal the wounds, but for the moment the blonde's shoulder was still numb and his leg was limping. He exited the door to the bathroom to see a small army of armed Leaf Ninja arriving to apprehend him, weapons at the ready. Get on your knees and put your hands in the air. Now. Naruto could barely process what was going on, but he knew he needed to get him and his family out of there, now. So, improvising, he used his one good arm to rapidly rotate his own chakra, pushing his power output to its max but not bothering with trying to contain it. The result was an uncontained Rasengan that essentially acted as a massive shockwave that knocked down, and in some cases knocked out, all of the ninja, giving Naruto time to limp away. He used the sneaking and camouflage skills he had mastered while pulling pranks as a child to evade the squads of ninja looking for him. Although he did notice that not all of them were after him. In fact, some of them appeared quite confused about what was going on. Naruto was desperate. He needed to sneak past all of this and get to Hanami. But just his luck, ever though he, somehow was lucky enough to sneak past most of the ninja and get to the academic division, there were a number of ninja standing right in front of the door to the classroom Hanami was in, as if they already predicted he would come looking for her. So be it, Naruto said to himself as he charged, his wounds healing enough by now that while his shoulder was still sore, the limping was mostly gone. He thrust another double Rasengan at the ninja, only to see the chakra technique dissipate in their presence. Naruto was horrified. It was that assassin from his wedding all over again. The moment of shock gave the ninja the opportunity they needed to attack with punches, kicks, and slashes of bladed weapons. Naruto had to endure the pain as he was pressed against the door to the classroom. Getting a peek inside, the room was empty. Shino, Hanami, and the rest of the students were nowhere to be seen. No exclamation mark and quat. A pulse wave of Kurama's chakra sprung out of Naruto, knocking out all of the ninja and even giving some of them slight burns, but Naruto couldn't have cared less. He had only one priority right now: find his family and get out of the village. Sakura has left her office and was going to the main lobby of the hospital. She was anxious to get to see Naruto for lunch and get her mind off of the mystery vial she was carrying. But before she could approach the front door, a wall of doctors, nurses, and a few standard shinobi, all blocked her way, then all closed in to surround her. What's going on? Sakura asked nervously. Lady Sakura. Sakura recognized the voice of the nurse who made her way to the front of the crowd. It was Tsuda. I'm sorry, milady, but we're going to need that vial you're carrying. I'm sorry, but I don't have it, Sakura lied. Now if you'd excuse me, Tsuda, I have a lunch date with my husband. I'm afraid your husband won't be making your lunch date, and neither will you. Sakura got really mad and took a battle stance. Are you threatening me? No, I'm just giving you advice that would be in your best interest. And quat. Tsuda took out a kunai, as did the other shinobi there, save for a few who carried scalpels and syringes instead. Please milady, I really don't want to have to hurt you. Just give us the vial and come with us. Sakura held her stance for a moment, multiple thoughts running through her mind. Then she relaxed and made a move as if she were going to go with them. And then with lightning fast speed she slammed her chakra-enhanced fist into the floor, just enough to cause a miniature trembler that knocked many of the medical ninja to the floor. Sakura made a move to beeline for the door, but some of the ninja got back up and engaged her. Sakura, always careful to carry a few spare weapons with her, pulled out a kunai and slashed and parried her enemy's attacks. Sakura's skill was incredible, taking on that many ninja single-handedly without the use of any backup or clones. But eventually someone did get in a lucky hit and slashed her leg. Ah! Sakura fell to her knees and one of the ninja took the opportunity to lay a hard punch right across her face. They held her up while still on her knees, as Tsuda came up to her, now holding a syringe with a clear red substance inside it. It didn't have to be this way, milady. No way, Sakura thought to herself, no way in hell I'm going out like this. Her eyes glanced around until she noticed a fire extinguisher on the very nearby wall. That's it. With all her strength, she broke herself free of the one holding her, quickly pulled a shuriken out of her pouch, and threw it at the fire extinguisher, causing it to rupture and spray its fluids everywhere, mostly at Tsuda, who was forced to her knees by the force of the spraying fluids. Before Sakura made her escape, she pocketed the syringe with the red fluid, wanting to keep it safe since she figured it may be connected to her other cargo. Her situation being what it is, she couldn't spare time to fully heal herself. So, limping, she ran out the door of the hospital towards the academy where her family was, taking cover the whole way there to loose any more leaf ninja that came her way. Naruto must have searched the entire academy by now. There was no sign of Hanami. But there was no way he was giving up on her. His nindo was to never give up, especially not on those whom he loves. Having looked everywhere, with the aid of his shadow clones, he had found a safe place to hide near the front door to the academy. There was no one around at the moment, which surprised Naruto greatly. You'd think that the front door would have more security. But then again, the rogue ninja were probably all out looking for him to make sure he never made it this far to begin with. Tired, confused, and very depressed that his daughter was missing, Naruto just sat in his hiding spot until he could come up with a new plan. Then he saw something, Or rather someone. A lone figure was making its way to the academy entrance. He couldn't make out who it was at first, but he needed to be ready. He waited on the other side of the door, kunai at the ready. Whoever it was on the other side suddenly stopped, as if they were expecting someone on the other side as well. The Hokage and the mystery person both readied themselves, though neither of them knew what the other was thinking. Then one of them, no idea which, made their move and threw the door open. Each of them thrust their kunais outward to stab whatever enemy was awaiting them, until they each stopped dead in their tracks, realizing who each of them was. Sakura. Naruto. The two lovers dropped their kunai to the floor and came together in a powerful hug, each one letting out tears, happy beyond measure that both of them were alive. Neither of them could resist, their lips collided together as they both tried to find solace in each other, until reality finally did sink in. Naruto, what's going on? I don't know. I stopped by the bathroom on my way to go see you. The next thing I know, Odaku and at least a dozen ninja and Anbu are trying to kill me. Same thing here. I was going to meet you for lunch when Tsuda and a bunch of medical ninja attacked me. A realization then came over Sakura. Naruto, where's Hanami? Naruto looked like he was on the verge of crying. I don't know. I searched the entire academy already. She's not here. None of the children are here. What? Naruto, we've got to do something. We can't just leave our daughter here. Don't you worry, honey. We're not going anywhere without our little girl with us. You may not have a choice. The voice did not come from either of them. It came from a third party that they hadn't noticed was standing in their presence. Upon hearing the voice, they both turned to the source of the voice with kunai in hand. They both relaxed upon seeing who it was. Iruka-sensei. Naruto embraced his old teacher in a powerful hug, which the old man happily returned. Sakura, a former student of his herself, joined in on the reunion. It's so good to see both of you alive, Iruka said. Sensei, what's going on? Why are my own ninja trying to kill me and my wife? I don't know, Naruto. I was just stopping by to visit you and see how you were holding up after yesterday, and I took shelter during all of the madness. Sensei, Sakura interrupted, forgive me, but have you seen our daughter, Hanami? I'm sorry, Sakura, I haven't. Shino and all of the children were led to another location by Anbu escort. Realization dawned on Naruto at that moment. They're using her as bait. They know that as long as they have Hanami, that will come looking for her and fall right into their trap. Exactly, and that is why both of you need to leave right now. What? Sensei, I am not leaving without my daughter. I understand, Naruto, believe me, but there isn't anything you can do for her here, at least not yet. What are you saying? Asked Sakura. Get out of the village. Get to safety. Go find your son. Find out what this conspiracy really is. Then come back when you have a plan. That's the best option for you two right now. But Iruka-sensei, Hanami, my little girl, she'll be all alone. What if they hurt her, or torture her, or Sakura could not bring herself to finish her own thoughts as she broke down at what she and Naruto had to do. Sakura, they won't dare harm a hair on Hanami's head. As long as they have her, they have a reason for you two to come back. Besides, she's a terrific student with amazing parents. I'm sure she'll be alright. Sakura barely felt any better, but she knew that Iruka was right. Here, I found these lying around the academy. They should fit you both so you can sneak out of the village unnoticed. He handed them both dark ponchos with hoods that they could use to hide their identities. Both of them put them on as they, reluctantly, prepared to leave. I used to do a lot of sneaking around the village when I was a kid, Naruto said. It was to get away from the grown-ups that would try to chase me. I know a secret route that can get us out of the gate without anyone noticing. Good. You two had better get going. Sensei, Sakura said, if they find out you helped us, you could be charged with treason. That's a risk I'm willing to take for two of my best students, including the one who's almost like a son to me. Naruto smiled happily. Besides, at my age, what more do I have to lose? Naruto hugged his former teacher one more time. Thank you for all of this. We'll be back for Hanami. Stay safe, Sensei. With that, the two parents, broken-hearted expressions on their faces, took off in the direction of the main gate. They both knew they'd be back and hopefully very soon. Hanami. Both parents thought to themselves at the same time, your mommy and daddy are coming back for you, we promise on our lives. But there was also something else on their minds as well. Shinachiku, please be safe. The majority of the Leaf Village's shinobi forces were gathered together in the Jonin standby station. 9 members of the fabled Konoha 12 Sai, Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, Choji Akimichi, Kiba Inuzuka, Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame, Rock Lee and Tenten were all gathered there. Konohamaru Sarutobi and his 2 former teammates, Moigi and Udon, were summoned there as well, as were Tamari, Karu, Hanabi Hyuga, Mirai Sarutobi, and Shizune. Senior and retired ninja like Kurenai Yuki, the crippled Might Guy, and former Hokages Tsunade and Kakashi Hatake, were also in attendance. None of them could believe what they were hearing. Some of them were in denial, like Konohamaru, Choji, Kiba, and Lee. Some were totally devastated, like Hinata and Ino, and some merely stood there in contemplation like Shino, Kakashi, and especially Shikamaru, who also had a fair mixture of guilt as well after that argument they had last time he and Naruto spoke. Odaku, despite having a massive headache caused from hitting his head on a toilet, was yelling at all the shinobi to get their attention. Eyes here, whatever your op is, bury it. This is level 1, contact the other shinobi nations. Shut all pathways out of the village. All security intel goes to us. Scan all open sources, messenger birds, computers, mail, whatever. If anybody says anything about these two, I want to know about it. With all due respect, if the village is conducting a manhunt for its own cage, then we have a right to know why. It was Mirai Sarutobi, granddaughter of Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, daughter of Kurenai and the late Asuma Sarutobi, cousin to Konohamaru, that dared to ask this question. She was not the closest to Naruto or Sakura, but he was a hero she grew up admiring and he had been her leader for much of her young life. Plus, she loved her cousin and he idolized Naruto. Because they lied to us. Everyone in the room turned to see where the voice had come from. In from the other end of the room stepped Councilman Aragi. Lord 7th Hokage, scratch that, ex-Lord 7th Hokage and his wife both have vital information related to the safety of this village, the answers to a dangerous mystery that has remained unanswered for the last 12 years. Those secrets, if allowed to fall into the wrong hands, could be a disaster for the safety and security of this village. But they each refused to share that information with us. Aragi took a deep breath before he continued. As difficult as this is to accept, Naruto and Sakura Uzumaki are now fugitives from the Hidden Leaf Village. Chapter 10 Suspicions and Confessions. Sasuke had come back to the inn about an hour later than Shinachiku did. Thankfully for the boy, the innkeeper did not put up too much of an issue with how her guests just stormed out of the window to their room making such a large ruckus. They were ninjas, weird behavior was part of their job. Shinachiku had been on edge waiting inside the room the whole time, kunai hidden on his person just in case. What his shadow clone had informed him of upon dispelling really had the boy confused. Why was Uncle Sasuke communicating with that crazy bounty hunter? What attack on the village? What the hell isn't he telling me? I've got a lot of questions that need answering when he gets back. No. What am I thinking? I can't let him know that I know anything. Uncle Sasuke could kill me in my sleep if he wanted, with hardly any effort. It was at that point that the door opened up and Sasuke entered. Shinachiku hurriedly picked up his copy of his dad's book, pretending that he had been reading it the whole time Sasuke had been gone. Kid, have you been reading that book this whole time? Asked Sasuke. You must have read that damn thing at least a dozen times by now. How are you not sick of it? I think my dad's story is really cool, so are yours and my mom's. There are a lot of different kinds of stories in here too. Stories about loss, bravery, sacrifice. And quat. Shinachiku eyed his godfather directly. Treachery. Sasuke only stared emotionlessly for a moment, as if he were looking for some hidden meaning behind what the boy was saying, before he gave up. Whatever you say, kid, let's just get some sleep before we head back out tomorrow. Shinachiku did not get much, if any, sleep that night. He kept a kunai under his sheets the whole time, worried about whatever the hell was going on. He could not get over Sasuke's suspicious behavior, turning up at his house out of nowhere, inviting him on a mission to recover a mysterious all-powerful gem, and now he allies himself with a bounty hunter that just tried to capture him. Uncle Sasuke's not telling me something, and by the time we get to the village I need to know what that is. The next morning the two ninjas awoke, cleaned up, got dressed, and went downstairs for breakfast. Sasuke noticed some red under the boy's eyes. Hey kid, didn't you get any sleep last night? Not really, sorry. Well, your loss, just don't let it slow us down. We need to be at the village within 2 days. Why so soon? Are you as dumb as your dad? The sooner we get to that gem, the sooner we can secure it and keep it from this new enemy. Or hand it right to them. And quat. Shinachiku mumbled under his breath. What did you say? Nothing. And quat. The two of them went back to eating their breakfast. Hey Uncle Sasuke? What is it? I was just wondering, why didn't you ever agree to let Lady Tsunade regrow your missing arm like she did for my dad? Sasuke stopped eating and looked at his missing appendage. He didn't answer for several moments. Because I felt I didn't deserve it. I still don't. What? When the war ended I figured that I was going to spend the rest of my life in jail, and I felt I deserved that fate. Your dad and Kakashi-sensei saved me from that fate by pleading with the other Kages and the daimyo, but I knew that there was a lot I needed to do. And quat. He paused and looked at his missing arm again. My missing arm became a symbol of all I've lost, all I've done, of how empty and incomplete I really am, and a reminder that how much I had to do now. But don't you think you've done enough by now to earn growing that arm back? No, I don't. Shinachiku took in the man's answer. He was checking for any signs of guilt, or lack of confidence, anything suspicious. If Sasuke still felt incomplete, then maybe he really was hiding something dangerous from the boy. Sasuke himself was becoming lost in thought. His mind drifted back to that fateful day 17 years ago. Order, order. The fire daimyo banged a gaff to quiet a talkative courtroom. The daimyo had come to visit the Hidden Leaf village to deal with the sentencing of a dangerous war criminal, one who had been a thorn in the sides of the shinobi villages for years, one who had now, finally, been returned to the village from which he had rebelled to face judgment. The 5 Kiges were all in attendance for the event. Gaara, 5th Kazekage of Sunagakur, 4th Reikage of Kumagakure, Mei Terumi, 5th Mizukage of Kirigakure, and Anaki, 3rd Tsuchikage of Iwagakure. But the primary host, and defense, was Kakashi Hatake, recently appointed 6th Hokage of Kanahagakure. The courtroom chambers were filled with villagers, clan heads, and shinobi from the 5 villages. Most of them were anxious to see the prisoner charged and sentenced quickly, as they all felt he deserved. Even several of those from the prisoner's own village were anxious to see sentence carried out. Guests in attendance included retired Hokage Tsunade and her assistant Shizune, Gaara's siblings Kankuro and Tamari, A's brother Killer Bee, Jinchuriki of the 8 Tails, A's right-hand man Daru, Samui and her Cloud Ninja teammates Kairo and Omai, one of Mei's chief swordsmen of the Mist Chojuro, and Anaki's granddaughter Kurotsuchi and her partner Akatsuchi. Guests from Konoha included council elders Homura Mitokado and Koharu Yutatane, Hyashi Hyuga, head of the main branch of the Hyuga clan, and his youngest daughter Hanabi, Shibi Aburame, ninja of the Aburame clan, Choza Akimichi, head of the Akimichi clan, Kurenai Yuhi and her team consisting of Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Hinata Hyuga, as well as her newborn infant daughter Mirai Sarutobi, the team that once belonged to her deceased lover Asuma Sarutobi consisting of Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi, the wheelchair-bound Might Guy and his 2 surviving team members Rock Lee and Tenten, the young Onbu member Sai and Captain Yamato, Academy instructor Iruka Umino, and Ebisu and his students Konohamaru Sarutobi, Moigi, and Udon. But the most important guests, along with the Hokage himself, were the prisoner's own former teammates. One of them was a teenage girl with pink hair and a diamond-shaped seal emblazoned upon her broad forehead. The girl, renowned for her actions during the war and for her exceptional skill as a medical ninja, looked extremely troubled by what was about to happen. She appeared almost heartbroken at the fate that may soon befall the young prisoner. The other guest was a blonde-haired teenager with whisker marks adorning his face and with one arm currently missing. This boy, once ostracized as a monster due to the 9-tailed spirit sealed within him since birth, has now become arguably the most famous and hailed hero of the ninja world. He currently looked troubled as well, as if he were concerned for the fate of his old friend but was working to keep his emotions in check. The prisoner himself was a teenage boy with raven black hair and missing an arm of his own to match his blonde-haired former teammate. He appeared completely emotionless, almost as if he didn't care about whatever fate would befall him today. Normally he would be kept in handcuffs for these proceedings, but the fact that the boy was missing an arm made that difficult. So, instead, his remaining hand was cuffed and the opposite cuff was attached to a belt loop on his pants. Considering that he was forced to wear a full straitjacket while in his prison cell, it was an awkward arrangement that he agreed to and, honestly, he had Kakashi to thank for the arrangement, and for actually convincing them to remove the seals they'd placed over his eyes so he could at least look his accusers in the eye with dignity. The boy was also under close supervision by Onbu guards, who were under orders to kill on sight if he tried using his Sharingan or Rinnegan during the proceedings. Once the room was called to order, the daimyo began the proceedings. This court is now in session. The accused, Sasuke Uchiha, last surviving member of the Uchiha clan of Kanahagakure, is charged with desertion of his village, high treason for allying himself with the rogue Sanin Orochimaru and the former village of Otogakure, as well as the former criminal organization known as the Akatsuki, assault on the 5 cages within the neutral land of Iron, plotting to wipe out the Hidden Leaf village, attempting to kidnap the Jinchuriki of Kumagakure for the Akatsuki, murder of the village elder Danzo Shimura, and attempting to murder the 5 cage and incite revolution across the entire shinobi world. How does the defendant plead? Guilty. There were clear gasps of shock and surprise at Sasuke's confession of guilt. Many of the attendees from the Leaf Village were especially shocked, but no more so than his 2 former teammates. Sakura was clasping a hand over her mouth as tears already threatened to spill out of her eyes. Naruto did not cry, but he did look very sad. He made a motion to try and put his arm around Sakura as an act of friendly comfort, but he just couldn't bring himself to do it. It felt too awkward, especially right now. The daimyo spoke again. Silence. Let the records note that the accused has made a plea of guilt to all charges. Lord Hokage, as this young man's former sensei and his primary defense attorney, do you have anything to say? Kakashi, garbed in his Hokage robes and hat, rose from his seat and took to the floor. Hi Lord Daimyo. As you have said, I have known Sasuke Uchiha ever since he was a Jonin fresh out of the Konoha Ninja Academy, and in that time his skill and natural talent were quick to impress me. Sasuke quickly rose to become my fave. The masked Hokage stopped to correct himself as he glanced at Naruto and Sakura, one of my favorite students. Kakashi knew that this next part was going to be tricky to get across. One wrong phrase could ruin any possible hope they had of saving the boy's life. In the years that Sasuke was under my tutelage, I was quick to recognize a pride and overconfidence in him. No doubt a result of his clan's high status within the village, as well as an aloofness he displayed to those around him. But even more serious, the boy's mind was clouded by rage, a deep-rooted desire for vengeance against his own brother, missing nin and former Akatsuki member, the late Itachi Uchiha. As his instructor, I did everything I could to teach the boy that revenge was not the right path, that it would only lead to more pain and misery. I was concerned enough with keeping him from this path that I may have failed to pay proper attention to his other teammates, a decision I regret. And then the Chunin exams came and Sasuke received a curse mark from Orochimaru. This ultimately fueled the unhealthy desire for power within Sasuke until, despite my best efforts to sway him, he made the choice to leave the village to join Oto Gakure. The atmosphere in the room was uncomfortable. Everything Kakashi was saying was true, but it was not doing much to help Sasuke's case. Kakashi needed to find some way to salvage this. Following that, the boy's life choices do speak for themselves. However, I would like to make it clear that Sasuke was clearly not in the correct mindset. Anyone as deadest on revenge as him would be thinking irrationally and at one point thinking in insanity, therefore his actions objection. It was the Raikage who furiously interrupted the proceedings. Sustained, shouted the daimyo. This boy is an S-class criminal who betrayed his entire village, joined 2 rogue ninja groups and who not only attacked myself and the other Kages, but tried to kidnap my brother to have his tailed beast extracted. I will not stand and let that go unpunished. Lord Raikage, you do not have the floor at this time. The daimyo objected. However, your objection has been noted and will be added to the prosecution. Now take your seat. Sat back down in a furious huff. Lord Hokage, you may continue to make your case. Arigato Lord Daimyo. As I was trying to say, Sasuke was clearly not in his right mind for several years, both his grief over the massacre of his clan and his desire for justice totally clouding his judgment. The boy is insane, just like Itachi. The outburst came from Aniki. Lord Daimyo, why must we waste any more time with this? This boy's actions against myself, the Kages, and the rest of the ninja world are those of a man who is mentally unstable and a threat to safety of all those around him, though that is not surprising given where his genes came from. There was an outburst of shock at the old man's harsh comment. Sasuke made no sort of reaction at the old Kage's damning comments against his clan. Let us not forget, Aniki continued, that this boy's brother was none other than Itachi Uchiha, the missing nin who went insane and massacred his entire clan, save for this boy here, in cold blood for no reason. Perhaps evil just runs in the family. Even more shocked gasps came out of the crowd, but Sasuke, even as they called his departed brother a psychopath, only hung his head in shame. That's a lie. The voice that rang through the courtroom belonged to the blonde-haired teammate of the accused. Naruto, shouted Kakashi, mind yourself, this is official business. Gomen-sensei, but I cannot just sit here and do nothing while my best friend's life is on the line. Young man, the daimyo said, this court is barely tolerant of outbursts from the Kages themselves, but if you are allowed to speak out of turn again and you will be dismissed from these proceedings. Is that clear? Naruto sighed, hi sir. And quat. He sat back in his chair again folding his arms. Some of Naruto's friends felt embarrassed at what Naruto had just done, while others, like Hinata, pitied him. Sakura was sitting next to him. Normally she would not hesitate to berate the blonde for having such an outburst in front of the Lord of the Fire Country, but this time, well, the poor girl just wasn't into it today. Your student has quite a temper on him, Lord Hokage, the daimyo smirked amusingly. Kakashi sighed in exhaustion, you have no idea. Still, the boy means well, and he only seeks to support his friend. Plus he may still be feeling empowered since he just got promoted to Chunin yesterday. Kakashi stopped when he noticed the irritated vein protruding from the young man's forehead. What is your name, young man? The daimyo asked. Naruto and many others in the courtroom, including Sakura, were surprised that the daimyo was bothering to acknowledge him like this. Still the boy responded as if it were no big deal. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, my lord. The daimyo looked surprised to hear this. Ah, so you are the young man who saved your entire village from the Akatsuki member pain, and you completed several great deeds during the war, including stopping this boy from murdering the Kages while they were still trapped within the infinite Tsukiyomi, correct? Naruto hesitated before answering. He made a glance towards Sakura, almost as if he was asking her permission to tell the truth, even if it might hurt Sasuke's case. The girl only nodded sadly. He paused only for a moment and answered, "Yes sir, I am." "Well young man," the daimyo said, "it seems that everyone in this courtroom owes you quite a lot. Due to your and Ms. Haruno's affiliation with the defendant, I have gone over your personal records in preparation for this trial. Quite impressive.
I am aware that you are the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, disciple to the current Hokage as well as the late Toad Sanin Jiraiya, studied sage arts with the Toads of Mount Myaboku, and completed numerous D, C, A, even some S-rank missions.
I have to say that it is quite remarkable that a shinobi as young as you could achieve so much from such difficult beginnings, not even having any clan of his own to speak of." Naruto actually found himself blushing somewhat at the sudden praise the daimyo had given him. He scratched the back of his head in humility. "Oh well, all that stuff was nothing really. I actually did have a family clan, but like Sasuke's they're pretty much gone now." "Really?" the daimyo asked intrigued. "Your file lists no record of your parents' identities anywhere?" "Well, from what I've been told, the third thought my life would be in danger if people knew that the fourth Hokage was my dad." Naruto's sweat dropped as he realized what he had just said, but it was too late. He smacked his own forehead. "Doh." The entire room erupted into disbelief. By this point a number of people in the room including Tsunade, Kakashi, Sasuke, Sakura, and A were aware of Naruto's true parentage, but most of the occupants in the room did not know. The rest of Naruto's friends that made up the Konoha 12 were all dumbstruck, some of them having enormous, over-the-top reactions to this revelation. What? Ino stuttered in disbelief. "Holy shit," Kiba shouted. "The springtime of youth lives in Naruto like I have never known before," Lee proclaimed. "Come to think of it, once you take away those marks on his cheeks, there is kind of a resemblance there," Shikamaru noted. "Why didn't he ever say anything?" Choji demanded. Naruto ... and quat. Hinata's mind merely drifted as she took in this newly discovered truth about her long-time crush. "Order," the daimyo demanded. Everyone in the room quieted down. "Regardless of this new discovery, young Master Uzumaki, you declared that Tsuchikage's earlier comments to be a lie. What proof do you have of this?" "My lord," Naruto answered, making brief eye contact with Sasuke while doing so. "Some time before the war started I traveled to the Land of Lightning to try and plead to the Raikage not to go after Sasuke, because he was my friend. He said no, but while I rested for my return journey I was approached by Obito Uchiha himself, or Tobi as he called himself then. He told me the truth." Naruto. Sasuke suddenly called out, as if he did not want his friend to reveal the truth. "Silence," the daimyo demanded. "The accused will remain silent or be held in contempt." "Naruto Uzumaki, what truth did the Master Uchiha speak of?" Naruto took a deep breath and looked back towards Sasuke one more time before continuing. He revealed that after the Nine Tails attack on the Leaf Village, the council suspected that the Uchiha themselves has used the Sharingan to take direct control of Kurama to make him attack the village. Technically that was true since Obito was the one responsible, but anyway, my point is that after that night the Uchiha were kept on close watch and forced to live in a segregated corner of the village. Because of this, the clan began feeling rekindled hatred for the village, especially since they were controlled by Senju clan ancestors. So, the Uchiha plotted a coup d'etat with Onbu member Itachi as their spy. Gasps came from the crowd and they all took this in. "But," Naruto continued, "Itachi was afraid that a coup would lead to a civil war and then another shinobi world war, so he instead provided intel to his clan's plans to the Konoha government. The third tired to negotiate peace, but that was taking too long and Danzo Shimura convinced Itachi that wiping out his own clan was the only way to avert war, to which Itachi made Danzo promise to spare Sasuke. But the clan suspected Itachi of acting strangely, so they asked Shisui Uchiha to keep an eye on him. But Shisui was against the rebellion too, so he tried to stop Danzo, but that led to his death and both Danzo and Itachi each getting one of Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan eyes. Shisui's death was covered up as a suicide and Itachi was labeled a murderer by his own clan. After that Itachi met with Obito, thinking him to be Madara, and since Madara was cast out by the clan for causing unrest during the village's founding, he allowed him to aid in wiping the Uchiha out, in return for sparing the rest of the village and Sasuke. Everyone was listening carefully to what Naruto was telling them. Even Sakura was awestruck at Naruto's words as he revealed the true downfall of Sasuke's clan. Naruto continued, "The night of the slaughter, Tobi did help Itachi murder the rest of his clan, including his parents. But when Sasuke came home that night and found all of his kin dead, he saw his brother standing over his parents' bodies. You see, Itachi had used Tsukiyomi on Sasuke to make him think that he acted alone, because he wanted Sasuke to get strong so one day he could come after him and get vengeance." Naruto paused for a moment. My point, Lord Daimyo, is that Itachi Uchiha was not insane. No, you could argue that he suffered more than anyone that night. And Sasuke is not crazy either. Maybe his brain was polluted with hatred and lies and confusion for a while, but I have seen and fought beside the real Sasuke. Sakura and I both have. Yes, he's made mistakes, a lot of them, but he deserves a second chance. I can vouch for him, and if you don't see fit to give him that chance ... and quat. Naruto smiled to himself and took off his forehead protector before continuing. Then you can consider this my resignation from service as a ninja for my village. Everyone in the room gasped at what Naruto had just done, but those who knew him best were horrified. Tsunade, Iruka, and most of his friends gasped in shock. Hinata looked terribly sad, Kakashi was speechless, Sasuke himself was looking up in fear, and Sakura looked like she was about to break out in tears. Naruto, don't. Kakashi shouted. You just made Chunin yesterday, don't throw your career away just for your friend. What about your dream? My dream? Kakashi-sensei, how can I ever be a good ninja, let alone Hokage, if I can't even save my best friend? Besides, he turned to Sakura, I made someone a promise, and if I fail to keep that promise now, then as far as I'm concerned I don't deserve to be called a ninja. Sakura couldn't hold it back any longer. She started bawling out tears as her closest friend literally put his entire future on the shoulders of Sasuke's fate. Naruto, why? You can't do this. You've come too far. You could lose everything. Why are you doing this? Why? Naruto cupped his hand underneath Sakura's chin and pulled her head up to look him in the eyes. For the same reason I made you that promise. For the same reason that you worked so hard to help bring him home. I care too much about you. And quat. He looked back towards Sasuke, both of you. Sasuke couldn't say anything. After all that he'd done, after all the pain he'd caused him, his old friend still believed in him and cared for her that much.
Naruto, I don't deserve a friend like you, and I doubt I ever will.
A single tear streamed from the Uchiha boy's eye. Sakura, Naruto said, I know that you may never feel the same way about me, but I want you to know that I will do anything to make you smile again, even if it's not with me. Once again Sakura couldn't help herself as she pulled the blonde into a desperate hug, tears still falling from her eyes. Naruto, no longer afraid, wrapped his arm around her as she let it all out. Naruto Uzumaki, the daimyo called out. Naruto broke up his and Sakura's hug as he turned to the leader of the Fire Country. You seem to be a passionate and loyal friend to this young man, so loyal that you are willing to stake your own career on his fate and reform ... and quat. The Lord paused before cracking a smile. I admire that. Huh? Naruto asked confused. In times like these, in a world recovering from the suffering and mistrust of war, it pleases me to hear that such bonds of friendship can still exist in this world. Beyond that, your acts of heroism and valor during the war and your ninja career thus far have earned the respect of both myself and everyone in this room. For these reasons, I have decided to honor your request and leave the fate of Sasuke Uchiha in the hands of the Hokage. Everyone, including Naruto himself, were dumbstruck at this decision. But Lord Daimyo tried to object. My decision is final. Lord Hokage, do you accept the right to pass judgment on the prisoner, with the knowledge that any negligible action he takes in the wake of this will reflect poorly on you and your tenure as Hokage? Kasashi looked to Sasuke for a moment, then over to Naruto, which caused him to smile beneath his mask. Yes, I do accept. Very good, you may now pass judgment, Lord Hokage. Sasuke Uchiha, the Hokage said, getting the boy's attention. In light of your heroic service in war and in light of Naruto Uzumaki's personal vouching of you, I hereby clear you of all charges against this village and the shinobi nations. I also reinstate your status as a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village. However, you will be demoted back to Genin rank. You will also be limited on what missions you may be allowed to take, and any actions you make outside of the village will require my approval first. Do I make myself clear? Sasuke, still not believing that this was happening, could only respond simply, yes sir. Good. Guards, please remove the boy's restraint. The Anbu uncuffed the boy's hand, and no sooner had they done so than his former pink-haired teammate wrapped him in a hug. Sasuke, despite his relief to be free, still felt too awkward to accept it. I'm so glad you're okay, Sakura said. Why yeah, me too Sakura. Naruto watched as his longtime crush instantly embraced his old friend. It stunned, hard, watching this, but what else could he expect? He had finally fulfilled his promise and gave her what she always wanted, and he supposed that would have to do. He was apparently so lost in thought that he wasn't prepared for said girl to embrace him in a tight hug once again, all the while saying thank you over and over again. Naruto, a bit nervously, wrapped his arm around her again. You don't need to thank me Sakura. Yes, I really do. What you did for him, I don't have words to thank you for that. You brought him home, you saved his life, you've risked everything. She was cut off as she felt the blonde-haired boy lay a quick, innocent peck on her forehead, right where her seal was. "You're welcome, Sakura." He figured he should walk away before she tried hitting him, but she didn't. Instead she felt that spot on her brow as if she were lost in thought. Naruto made his way over to the raven-haired boy, who, unbeknownst to them, had been smiling at both of teammates during their exchange. "Listen, Naruto," Sasuke said, I can't believe you did all of that. You believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. Thanks. And quad. He stuck out his hand. Naruto took the hand. "That's what friends are for. And quad." But Naruto then leaned in. "You know that if you do anything crazy again it's gonna be both mine and Kakashi-sensei's asses on the line, right?" "Yeah." There was an awkward silence before Naruto spoke up again. "Hey guys, how about we all go out to Ichiraku's tonight to celebrate, just the three of us? My treat." Naruto, do you really think Sasuke is in the mood for ramen right now?" "Actually," Sasuke interrupted smirking, "it sounds perfect." "Uncle Sasuke, are you alright?" Sasuke was snapped out of his nostalgia by his godson's voice. "Huh? Oh yeah, I'm fine, let's just get finished eating and then we'll continue east toward the village remains." After they completed their meal, flapjacks with syrup, eggs over easy, bacon, sausage and hash browns, with a side of biscuits and gravy, they checked out of the inn and headed east out of the village towards to sea, where the remains of the hidden Eddy village lay. As they leapt from tree to tree, Shinachiku constantly studied the black-haired man ahead of him, his weapon pouch at the ready for anything. It looked like Sasuke wasn't going to talk about what was really going on unless he asked him outright, and Shinachiku dare not do that for fear of losing an advantage. One way or another, he needed to stay alert until they got to the village. And there, for better or worse, he was going to get answers. Still, the boy did find his mind wandering to other things as they kept their pace. "I wonder what's going on back home, or what mom and dad are up to now." Naruto and Sakura were about 100 kilometers outside of the village. Thanks to their semi-inconspicuous disguises and Naruto's secret path outside the gate, no one saw the two fugitives make their escape. Fugitives, neither one of them could believe it. After so many years devoted to bringing Sasuke, a missing nin and a war criminal, back to the village, now the two of them were being forced to retreat for their lives while receiving the same label from their own home. The difference was that Sasuke became a fugitive because of his own bad choices, while Naruto and Sakura, well, they didn't know what was going on. All they knew was that they were wanted now and their poor daughter was still stuck in the village going through God only knows what. "Okay," Naruto said, "I think this is far enough for right now. Let's catch a quick rest and then we'll take refuge in a nearby town, renting a room under assumed names." Then the next morning Naruto was cut off by the sound of his wife weeping. "Sakura? Hanami, she's all alone back there." Naruto put his arms around her. "Honey, we both agreed that this was for the best. They're not going to hurt her as long as they don't have us, and how do you know that?" Sakura screamed. "For all you know she could be getting chopped to pieces right now and Shinichiku's out in the middle of who knows where, while the two of us are stuck all alone in the woods." Naruto only stared at her grimly. "Oh God, Naruto, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lash out. I'm just so I know Sakura, I'm worried about them too. That's why we need to figure out what's going on so we can hatch a plan to get back there and save Hanami and our friends." "And how are we going to do that? We don't have any clues, and evidence, nothing to go on whatsoever. How can we unravel a conspiracy if we don't even have a single lead?" Naruto paused before he took a deep breath. "Maybe we do." "Huh?" The ex-Hokage took a scroll out of his pocket. "Yesterday Odaku came to my office and delivered this scroll to me. I've been working to open it up, but all of my unsealing jutsus aren't having any effect on it." Sakura looked confused. "What's so important about that scroll? Do you remember the first time we tried to get married?" He frowned as he saw the hurt reaction on his wife's face as she recalled that memory. "Well, ever since then I've been periodically, say once or twice a year, sending what Anbu I could spare on off-the-books recon missions to find out whatever they could about how that assassin at our wedding was able to nullify our chakra as soon as we came in range of him. This scroll that Odaku delivered to me might finally give us an answer after 12 years. When my men attacked me in the bathroom, I think some of them were reaching for it." Sakura was shocked, to say the least. "Why didn't you tell me about that scroll last night?" "I don't know, I guess with Shinachiku gone, I didn't want to burden you with something that would bring up bad memories. I know that's no excuse for me not telling you. I'm sorry, Sakura." The woman frowned. "It's alright, you're not the only one who's been keeping secrets." "Say what?" Sakura reached into her own pocket and pulled out the vial of blue liquid. "Remember when I told you I saved a man who was having a heart attack yesterday?" Naruto nodded his head. "Well, while I was examining him, I realized the only way to find the cause of his condition was to use my delicate illness extraction technique, but when I made my chakra scalpel, it dissipated when I came within range of the patient's body." Naruto's eyes widened in understanding. You don't mean? Yes, just like the assassin from that day. Anyway, I had to use a real scalpel to cut him open and then, not expecting it to work, I used my chakra to reach into his blood system and I pumped at least a quart of this stuff out of his blood. Wait a minute, so you're telling me that your chakra didn't work outside that guy's body, but it did work on the inside? Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either, but that's what happened. I filled 2 vials with this mystery agent, whatever it is. This one here I kept for myself to run my own experiments, the other for my doctors to take to the lab. After today I'm guessing they probably destroyed the other sample. Geez. And quat. Naruto was at a loss as he took in all that Sakura just said. Why didn't you tell me last night? I don't know, I guess for the same reason you kept the scroll a secret from me. With Shinachiku gone, I was afraid you were hurting so I didn't want to burden you with something from the past. I'm sorry Naruto. So, that means we both kept secrets from each other that we encountered on our jobs, both having to do with the same thing. And we both kept them from each other for the exact same reason. Did I get that right? Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Naruto couldn't help but laugh a little bit. You know, if we weren't just forced to flee our own village because of this, then this might actually have been funny. Sakura, despite knowing full well how serious all of this was, kind of had to agree and let out a chuckle, but like Naruto, it was mainly just a tension release. Then she remembered something else. Wait. And quat. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the syringe she had picked up from Suda, still with the reddish liquid inside of it. While I was escaping the hospital, one of my nurses tried to stick me with this. It reminded me enough of the blue stuff that I pocketed it for safekeeping. Yeah, Naruto remembered, one of my guys tried to stick me with that stuff while they attacked me in the bathroom. What do you suppose it is? An antidote? No, if it was an antidote then they would want to waste it on the 2 of us. And quat. Sakura thought for a moment. I think it's some sort of reverse serum. Huh? And quat. It's just a theory since that assassin at our wedding used taijutsu only, but if this blue stuff were injected into a fully developed ninja with average chakra reserves, then that ninja would likely become immune to an enemy's chakra attacks but still be able to use their own chakra against someone. Well, I'm wondering if this red stuff would do the opposite. If either of us got injected with it, then maybe we would lose control to use chakra techniques, but we'd still be vulnerable to enemies' chakra. Either way, based on the man whose life I saved yesterday, the effects only seem to work on the surface of the skin. Hey, you're keeping up with me, right Naruto? Amazingly, yes. The question is, how are we supposed to find out if my theory is right or not? I don't have access to a lab now that we're on the run, and besides, I think we should head towards the Hidden Eddy village and find Shinano. I don't know if that's a good idea. And quat. Sakura was taken aback at what her husband just said. Believe me honey, I want to find him more than anything, but his parents are wanted fugitives now, meaning that if anyone comes after us then we'd be leading trouble right to him. Besides, Sasuke's with him now, he'll be fine. Thank God he came back to the village just in time to pick up our son before Naruto had to stop as things clicked in his brain. He thought back to what he and Shikamaru had argued about in his office today. He said that he thought he heard that assassin whisper something to Sasuke at their wedding that he never told them. The same assassin who somehow snuck a suicide pill into prison with him past the Anbu guards, one of whom tried to stop the assassin from biting down and just so happened to be one of the same Anbu who tried to kill him today. Then there was Sasuke coming back home with his story about the chakra gems, showing up at their house out of nowhere to ask if their son can go with him on an adventure against an unknown enemy. And quat. He said that he needed Shinachiku because the seal guarding the gem could only be released with Uzumaki blood, and his wife, who just so happens to be from the same clan, conveniently left him in between now and his most recent visit, taking their daughter with her. Naruto really didn't want to admit it, but maybe Shikamaru had a point. Maybe something was off about all of this. No, Naruto said to himself. Sasuke's passed in behind him. Don't get yourself paranoid Naruto, your son is going to be fine, I hope. Naruto, are you okay? Why yeah, I'm fine honey. Anyway, Sasuke will look after him. As for that serum, I think I know a place that might have a lab we can use, and maybe get my scroll opened as well. Oh really? Where? Naruto took a very deep breath before he gave his answer. The Hidden Sound Village. Back in Konoha, Odaku was addressing the squad of Jonin before him. These recruits were the best of the best, the finest shinobi of their generation, and the ones who knew their targets better than anyone. Alright, listen up. Odaku commanded. The 9 of you have been gathered here to answer a call to arms. Councilman Aragi has chosen each of you to be part of a 10-man cell under my command. You have each been selected for this task because of your past affiliations with your targets. Normally a 10-man cell would not be necessary to track down 2 missing nin, but in this case we are taking about a disgraced former Kage and a master medical ninja with the strength of 100 seal. Both of your targets are pupils of two of the legendary Sannin themselves, and one of them happens to be the son of a former Hokage and the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox. Alone each of these two is a formidable opponent. Put together they have proven to be nearly invincible, even without the aid of their Uchiha associate. For this reason the insight each of you have into their mannerisms, ethics and abilities, as well as the bonds of trust you have in each other, will be paramount to the successful capture of these fugitives. I realize that many of you may have mixed feelings about tracking these two down, and I sympathize with that. But each of you have taken an oath to protect this village and defend it against its enemies. I also know that all of you have children as well. Don't worry, I have sensais and guardians assigned to look after them while all of you are gone. So, do you all accept this A-ranked mission that has been given to you? The 9 shinobi gathered in the room with Odaku all responded in unison. Hi. Very good, then meet me at the village gate and let's move out. The 9-person cell that had assembled for this mission all glanced at one another as Odaku walked out ahead of them. Their names, Sai and Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, Rock, and Tenten Lee, Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga and her husband Kiba Inuzuka. All of them had agreed to this mission. Absolutely none of them were happy about. None of them believed that this was real, figuring that there had to be more to it than they had been told. But one way or another, Naruto and Sakura were out there, and they needed to be found, for their own sake. They all just hoped that they got to them before it was too late. Well, looks like we've came to the end of part 3 too. What if Naruto and Sakura had a child? I hope you guys enjoyed, and this is Amaterasu signing out. I wish all of you a wonderful day/night. Bye.